So before we get into this video, I just really want to iterate that every man is different in his priorities of preferences when it comes to a woman that he wants to choose. I'm not saying that the things I'm about to go through are the golden rule for every single man. However, as a man, and maybe one of the few men who's not afraid to actually just speak the truth, while different men may have different preferences, I guarantee you that all men appreciate the things that I'm about to go through as girlfriend material. Before we get into that, you know I always love having one-to-one session with you guys. So if you want to get your first session with me, just click the link below. So the first thing on this list is showing gratitude and appreciation. Men want to do things for the women they care about. They want to do things that serve her experience and her life. But the appreciation that he gets from her is a huge part of the desire of him wanting to do that for her. There's nothing more unattractive than someone who feels entitled to the services and favors that you want to do for them, especially when you're dating. And the thing is, it's a brain hack because he does things for you, you show appreciation for those things, and that makes him want to do more things for you because ultimately he wants to do things that make you smile, that lift your spirit, that lift your energy. But if he does something for you and you're just like, oh yeah, nice, cool. He just goes, okay, well, me putting an effort in this area doesn't actually lift her energy, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna try and find something else. Honestly, just think of a man as like a dog. So if the dog does something good for you and you give him a treat, he's gonna do more of that. But if he does something good for you and you don't give him a treat, then he's just gonna think, okay, this doesn't work in getting treats, so I'm gonna try something else. So when a man does something, give him a treat. Or maybe he does something and you show appreciation by giving him a kiss and maybe you biting his lip and just letting him know that, you know, it really turns you on when he does something to serve the relationship. Honestly, just think of us guys as very happy dogs that need to be guided, okay? But very simple. This next quality that guys see as girlfriend material is being sexually selective. Now, there's always some contention with this point because this often leads into a girl's body count. Does her body count matter? How much is too much? Why do guys still care about body count? Well, the truth is, the more sexually selective someone is, the lower body count they're more likely to have. And the higher count someone has, then obviously they're not that sexually selective. And there's no right or wrong about it, but it is true that guys find people who are more sexually selective more girlfriend material. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't saying that you need to disclose your body count, but being sexually selective is important to men for a woman he's going to take seriously. Why is this? Because ultimately, this is about trust. A relationship goes through good times and bad times, and he doesn't want you to be hooking up with some random guy at the club. He doesn't want that if you guys are going through a rough patch, you go out with your girlfriends for the weekend and then something is likely to happen. Now, I get what you're thinking. Okay, well, just because I may have done that before doesn't mean I'm going to do that when I'm in a relationship. But think of it this way. If he knows that you're the kind of girl who doesn't sleep with a guy the first night you've met them or quite quickly, that you're the kind of girl that it takes a certain level of investment before you have the care to share your body with someone, then he is much more likely to have trust and faith in the rough patches that you go through in your relationship. He trusts that you couldn't betray him easily, because ultimately a man's worst nightmare is to marry a woman, invest in her long term, have kids with her, and then find out the kids aren't his. And this happens way more often than people actually let on. So if you think of guys as animals who want to ensure paternity, they want to ensure that they're the father of the kids. Part of doing that is choosing women who present themselves to be sexually selective because it minimizes the risk of that happening to him. So here's the thing, even if you look at your sexual history and you're like, okay, I've not been that sexually selective, you don't need to disclose this to him. You don't need to present this to him. Present that the guys that you have chosen to share your body with are guys that you care about, guys that you had a level of investment, they had a level of investment in you. I'm not saying that you should lie. I'm just saying that you should present in this way. Get my drift? This next quality that is definitely girlfriend material is a girl who doesn't post thirst trap photos online. The way this comes across to a lot of men when a woman does this is that it just makes it look like she is looking for constant validation. And the thing is, a man knows that as a single man, he can't give the level of validation to that woman the same way that 2,000 other guys can, liking her photos and commenting on her pictures. So that makes him think, okay, I will never be enough to satisfy this woman in the amount of attention that she needs to feel good about herself. which means if he got into a relationship with her, she would still be seeking that validation and attention from other parties, regardless if she's interested in those men or not. And if you think about it this way, would you really want to choose someone who is opening themselves up for further engagement from random strangers who are trying to sexually take that person away from you? I mean, how would you feel if your monogamous partner was at a very high-end club where he's spending money and is buying everyone drinks, and the girls want to come to his table and he's like, yeah, I'll buy everyone drinks, when you know that a few of those girls are probably going to try and snag him for themselves? Look, there's nothing wrong with being open to talk to strangers, but this is something that guys think about. And another part of this, as to avoiding thirst trap photos, is going to be very important to a guy if he has a level of a public profile. If he has a public profile to some degree, then respectability in image is going to be very important. We live in a visual image economy. And the truth is, men adore women who reserve her body and sexuality for him and him alone. It's what he values in a long-term partner. Think of it this way. If he's taking you seriously, it means that he is potentially considering you to be the mother of his children, in which of course you all have a hand and significant influence in raising said children. And the way a man sees it is this: the kind of daughter that he hopes to raise is going to be reflected in the woman that he chooses. Men who don't want their daughters to be strippers, don't marry strippers. Men who don't want their daughters to become porn stars, don't marry porn stars. So men who don't want their daughters to be advertising themselves in sexually explicit ways online aren't going to choose women who do that. No, don't get me wrong. He'll have sex and have fun with those girls that do that, but he doesn't take any of those girls seriously. And to be fair, this isn't all men that are like this, but the reality is the guys who don't really care about that at all that much, those usually aren't the guys that women are wanting to choose. This next quality that guys definitely find long-term material in a girl is that she doesn't air the business of guys online. Men aren't perfect, right? You're gonna have experiences with some bad guys, with some bad boys, some guys who didn't treat you right, some guys who weren't honest with you. That's gonna happen. It's gonna be part of your journey. But if you're putting and airing the business of guys online, one, it doesn't look classy. If a woman is constantly posting online about her bad experiences with guys that she's dated, it just looks like she really picks bad when it comes to men. Because not every woman has this issues. There's some women who love the men that they choose and they get into great relationships with them. And the second reason is that it makes it look like he can't trust you to share things. We hear all the time women wanting guys to open up and share things about themselves so they can connect on a deeper level, so she can feel some level of emotional security with him. But then if a woman is posting and airing a guy's business online because she's annoyed or angry at a guy she had experiences with, how can any future guys trust that she's not going to do that to him if she's annoyed at something? It'll be much harder for him to have an emotional connection with you because he feels like he can't truly open up to you, be vulnerable, and that doesn't help anyone. Because relationships do go up and down, you know, you go through good times and rough patches, right? And the test of someone's character isn't when things are going really well. The test of someone's character is when things are not going well. That's when someone's true colors do come out. And a girl that is girlfriend material can handle difficult moments with dignity, with integrity, with class, and more importantly, still chooses to protect the relationship, as he will do that for her. This next thing that is definitely girlfriend quality that guys absolutely love is being a place of peace for him, which means choose your battles. No one is perfect, and relationship by definition comes with compromises. People often wonder, how did our grandparents manage to stay married for 50, 60 years? And a big reason of this is because they knew when to let small things go. Things that aren't important, we have to be able to let go. And it's so important if we want to succeed in our relationships. Because believe it or not, I'll be honest with you, men do this a lot just to keep the peace. Of course, when it's something really significant that really affects you deep inside to the core, of course, communicate that with your fella and talk to him and work through it. But when it's something small that's not that significant, we have to exercise that muscle in letting it go and move on. Because the thing is, he's not always going to get everything right, and you're not always going to get everything right. So it's important that we know how to let this stuff go and prioritize things so it doesn't chip away at our relationship. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't the same as holding it in, because what holding it in looks like is when you have an argument and then you bring something up that happened 6 months ago and he's like, wait a minute, what, like, why are we talking about that? Where did that come from? So just know how to let it go. And how you know whether you've let it go is when you think about whatever issue it is, does it still emotionally trigger you? Does it still give rise to certain emotions? And if it does, then you haven't let it go yet. And if there's something that you feel isn't that significant, but you still want to say something, here's what you can say. Look, this particular issue or this thing that happened really bothered me, but I'm letting it go. Let's not talk about it again. There, you've said your piece, he's got the point, and not only will he really appreciate that, but he's gonna have massive respect for you for doing that. If you're looking for a guy who sparks up your love life, make sure you subscribe to this wonderful tribe. And as always, keep it slick. Pow.